Hello everyone, welcome to Odoo Experience. I'm Viktoria Emmer. Let me tell you a short story. Once upon a time there were those tiny creatures called reordering rules. They lived in Odoo 13 in the master data section of the inventory app. They were sharing their home with products, product variants, lots and serials, and product packaging. They were working on their own, diligently, doing what they were told. And they weren't really people who liked, or creatures who liked public appearance. They were rather shy, or we could say introverts, so they weren't really for public. But by Odoo 13, they get so much criticism from the users, from all the Odoo community. They were criticized for not working well. They were criticized for not doing their job whenever it's like super needed, or they were criticized for doing a poor job in general. So that was really bothering them, and they came together after Odoo 13, and they were doing a bit of a brainstorming, like what could they do to show the people, to be more transparent, to show the people how they work, based on which rules, based on which setup, because what they thought was really that they are doing what they are told. So whatever the users are putting into the system, this is what they're doing. So they are not doing more, not doing less. This is exactly what they do. Yes, they might be a bit, stubborn in that sense, to not thinking out of the box or anything. But the reordering rules are just really the best creatures for this, for doing what they are told. So they were coming up with an idea, and I think it's a great idea what they came up with. So by Odoo 14, they introduced the Replenishment Dashboard. What is the Replenishment Dashboard? Basically, it is showing exactly what the reordering rules are doing or they are about to do. And what they are doing or about to do, that depends on the trigger. So this is the first actual feature what they're showing. So if it's a manual reordering rule, or if it's an automatic one. Because if it's an automatic one, then the reordering rules are just doing their thing in the background. Nothing really matters. They're just doing, the user doesn't have to interfere at all. Of course, other than the configuration. However, when there's a manual trigger, then they are waiting for the user to interfere, to take action. What action they would take? They can order, like, replenish the components or the purchase products with the purchase order, or they can trigger manually a manufacturing order. So this was the first thing what they really wanted to show, who is in charge. So is it the user or is it the reordering rule? Is it automatic or is it manual? The second thing was that they really wanted to show that they respect safety stocks. So with the minimum quantity, the user can set up the safety stock, and they can define, like, below which stock level they never want to go. And with the max quantity, the reordering rules showed that they do care about inventory value, how much product we have on stock, because they don't go above that quantity. So this is why the minimum and maximum quantity are just super important in that sense. So they wanted to show that as well. They put that also in the replenishment dashboard. What else? They also wanted to show that they do respect the box quantities of a supplier, because some supplier can put 5 units in the box, some supplier can put 20, and then we need to order in the multiples of these box quantities. So 20, 40, 60, or maybe there is one supplier which is just sending the products by each, so it doesn't really matter, and then it's either 1 or 0 or just okay. So the reordering rules really wanted to show that they do care, because this is something which is, like, very, very important, the supplier's box quantities. And then certainly, last but not least, the to order quantity, because they wanted to show what their intention is. They wanted to show what their proposal is. So if it's a manual reordering rule, then of course, like, you need to see how much you are about to order. And then they also gave the possibility to the user to change this to order quantity. So these, and last but not least, the forecasted quantities graph. This is the small graph on which if you click, then you can see which replenishments are coming in, so which purchase orders or which manufacturing orders are there in the loop, and which deliveries or which manufacturing orders are using that component, or which delivery orders are used for the finished product. So all this was presented in Odoo 14. And I can tell that the users liked it. So first they didn't really understand what's the purpose, what's the reason for having that. But then slowly but surely they got used to it. And they started to work with it, and they started to be in a better relationship, or in the better relationship with the reordering rules. So the reordering rules were happy, but as this as their reputation grew, the more some criticism came as well. And what they got as a criticism, that yes, it's very nice that we have this tool, we do understand it more what you're doing, but still we don't know how you're choosing the suppliers, based on what, when can we expect the goods, which supplier is cheaper or more expensive than the other. We want to take that decision, said the users. So then the reordering rules came together again, and they came up with another solution. Okay, for Odoo 15, let's just see what we can do. So the result is that they created this I menu. So this I menu shows lead times, vendor lead time, so basically in how many days the vendor can typically ship our goods and deliver. The security lead time for the purchase, which is very handy if we have like longer inbound procedures, when our colleagues at the inbound department are just a bit more busy, and they need a bit more time to get the products to the stock. Then we have the security lead time there, and the days to purchase, and together they give the forecasted date. So from this view, we can see that if we place the order to this specific vendor today, then we will have the products on that day. And if in this case we have like multiple vendors, then we can also see if they have like a scaling in their price, what is their unit price or the scaled price, or which delivery lead times they are working with. Also, you can see the last purchase in that screen, and then you can decide. So here you can see that, okay, the bold one is your actual supplier, but then you can set the others as supplier. So that was their innovation for Odoo 15. And that was nice, and people really liked it, and the users were really amazed by that. But of course, you can never satisfy totally the users. So they always come up with ideas and requirements and stuff which they would like to see. The good thing is that they started to use the replenishment dashboard, so they were already accustomed to that, and they started to want more from this. So like, let's say they have multiple warehouses and they don't want to actually just blindly order from the vendor, but they also want to see how much inventory they have in other warehouses. So this function they were missing, and they were also missing a further outlook from the strict lead time from the vendor. So here it's nice and shiny to have the vendor lead time, the purchase security lead time, and the 4 days to purchase, but then we don't see further at all. And these things were what they were missing mostly. So The reordering rules, you would think that they were a bit devastated because, yeah, and again, something which they need to think about and everything. But no, in the end, they were quite excited, because that meant that people are using the dashboard and people are having ideas how to improve that, and like that they could start working together, like the users and the reordering rules. So that was a beginning, probably, like of a very fruitful, or hopefully a very fruitful, cooperation. But the reordering rules are not yet less shy creatures. They are still a bit introvert. They don't really like the spotlight. So when we ask them to come on this stage, that now that finally we can meet in person, we asked them, but they were like, not really. They weren't really convinced. They didn't feel comfortable. They didn't want to come on the stage. And instead they asked me to explain and to give you a bit of an idea of what you can expect from Odoo 16. So I'm trying to represent you the reordering rules the best way I can, and let's see how it goes now in Odoo 16. So my name is Viktoria, as I said, and I'm here to show you how to manage your replenishment wisely. When I was thinking about this talk and preparing for this talk, I was thinking, what are the key elements to product availability or replenishments? And I came up with 3 main things which, in my opinion, are very important. Very important is an overview of your entire inventory. Because you might, as I mentioned before, you might not want to go out to a supplier and buy from them as long as you have products at your warehouse first. So this is something very important. And then certainly the lead time of your suppliers, because that determines if you have enough availability or not, or at the right time, because this is what logistics is about. This is what supply chain management is about, to have the right goods in the right time. So that's why lead time is super important. And last but not least, also the quick reaction to demand changes, because demand can change like very quickly, and we need to adapt to this. So with this in mind, we do have in Odoo 16 the equivalent functions to fill these, or to support these elements. And first of all, we do have a warehouses overview to cover the overview of the entire inventory. And we have the visibility days. So we are introducing now the visibility days to enhance a bit and look a bit further to from the lead time of your suppliers. And we also have replenished locations, which show very flexibly how we can or where our demand appears. So let's jump in. Let me show you all this in Odoo 16. And first I'm gonna show you the warehouse overview. So come with me to Odoo and let me show you all that. So first of all, in the inventory app, you can find the replenishment dashboard now in the first place of the operations menu, whereas in the previous Odoo editions, you could find it a bit below. So now it shows also that we're adding more and more focus on the replenishment dashboard, and the reordering rules are super happy. And the reordering rules are now not in the now we call it products and not master data, but they are in the configuration and in the reordering rules. So what is the difference between the two? Because if you go here, you find a relatively similar screen for the reordering rules as you have seen in the replenishment dashboard. You still need to think of the configuration reordering rules menu as the master data, as something which are your basic settings and which you would go back to, basically. Here, if I remove this auto trigger, you can see for whichever components, whichever parts I have already created the reordering rules. However, if I go to the replenishment dashboard, I can also see all this, but also I have here the filters for the reordering, basically, which are the items which I need to reorder. And what is also new, actually, is this view here on the left-hand side. So you can see and actually filter on what is manual, what is set up for which physical location. So if I'm now here removing the to reorder, here I can see that the triggers, I can select the triggers, the automatic trigger reordering rules and the manual trigger reordering rules. So this will come very handy if you're managing your warehouse like that and your replenishments like this. So I believe that's a very cool feature. So, but let's see now how it goes and what happens if I have an order. So I'm going to create a sales order and that I haven't told you yet. I'm showing you a flow for shoe manufacturing, running shoe manufacturing. I do have my usual mass production, but right now I'm going to show you the flow for the prototyping and ordering. I do have some partners for the prototype testing, and they are coming to me and ordering the shoes, the prototype shoes from me, and then I'm manufacturing these shoes and sending them to them. So let's jump in. Let's see what happens if I receive a new product or a new order from my prototype tester. So he wants my shoe, the prototype shoe. They want 2 of this. I can save it and confirm it, and I have my delivery, which I need to send from my main stock. But right now, I don't have this product available, so I'm going to my replenishment dashboard to see what is happening here. So on my replenishment dashboard, I do see that my prototype shoes, so I do see that I have a forecast of 37, so it's high time that I set up a manufacturing order. So at the preferred route, I'm setting up manufacture. And since it's a manual trigger, I can click on order once. If I would think that it's easier and more convenient to automate these orders and ask Odoo to automatically create the manufacturing orders whenever I have a new demand, then I can click on the automate orders. One more thing which is very important here is that we can play a bit maybe with the minimum and maximum quantities. Because if we set up the safety stock, as I mentioned before, we can set up a safety stock of the desired quantity, so that we never go below that amount. And we can set up a max quantity, as I mentioned also, not to go like very high in our inventory, and to keep our finances and our inventory value in order. So this is what we can do. But if we leave the minimum and maximum quantity at 0, that brings us to a make to order kind of functionality. We do have this functionality in Odoo, but that is reserved for very specific cases, as it's like pretty rigid. If you're changing something, if something really changes in that chain, then it becomes a bit difficult to change and to fulfill the demand, which can be okay in some cases because you don't foresee any troubles. But if you have like a more volatile industry, then probably a reordering rule set up with zeros and zeros, 0 minimum and 0 maximum, can be a better fit for you, because that's a bit more flexible. So right now I don't want to automate these orders, but I'm ordering once whatever I have as demand. So I'm ordering that, and here I can see that I have my manufacturing order created. I could have clicked that because that was a link, but I prefer to go to manufacturing operations and manufacturing orders. So here I can see that my prototype shoes are here, and I see what I have here and what I need here. What are my components here? But I also see that I don't have all the components here available. So I go back to my dashboard, and I would like to see what I have here. So I have the to reorder. I should be able to see here what I have. I can remove all the filters, and I do see that here I have my my insole prototype, and here I will see what I need basically. So here I do see that on hand I have the insole already, but I definitely would need more products. I will go to my insole here and see that here basically I have 25 units, but I would need a bit more. So let me just go back to the manufacturing order and see that my demand is basically, so this is scheduled for November, but I don't want to wait that long because I know that I definitely need to produce it right now. So if I'm changing this and I'm checking my availability, I still see that I don't have all the products available. So I'm going back to my dashboard, and now I see that I need all these products here. So here are all three products which I'm needing as components. So I can see, okay, all of them are on manual, and if you allow me, I'm going back to my reordering rules, because here on manual, I do have them also set up like this. I haven't set up any safety stock because these are prototype parts, but you can see here that that I have them already set up as reordering rules as well. So I'm going back to my replenishment dashboard, and let's see how we can take advantage of the multiple warehouses. So as I mentioned here, you can click on the I menu. And on the I menu, you remember we had the lead times and the vendors, and we still have that. But now we have a second tab here, and here you can see that I have 25 units of this product in my warehouse too. So I'm very happy because I do need these units. As you can see here, 12 units I need. So I'm selecting that route, and as you can see here, I did, so this preferred route has changed, and now I'm supplying it from my warehouse too. So if I'm ordering that one, you can see that here this inter-warehouse transfer has been generated. I'm going further with the others, so I'm checking my outsole as well, and here I can see that in my warehouse too, I need 37 units, but I only have 20 units available. So what happens now? If I'm selecting this route, then I can say, then Odoo asks me that what is the amount what I need to reorder, and I decide to just order 20. So let's just, I can order this 20, and I order once, and an inter-warehouse transfer has been created as well. For the plastic parts, let me see what we have. Here we also have, and here we have the full coverage. But here, with the plastic parts, I know that warehouse 2 would use that, so I would go for the vendor, and I generate the purchase order from here. And I'm just creating order once, and I'm going there. And you can see also that this PO has been generated. So let's see on the overview, or first let's go to the purchase order maybe. let's see what it was generating. So these plastic parts, so now I have the 37 units. I can confirm this order, but this request for quotation would really just collect all the quantities for the same vendor. So if I receive new demand for the plastic parts, then it would, as long as I keep this in request for quotation status, Odoo would keep collecting that demand and increase the quantity, or if there's another product which is needed from the same vendor, then it would add there. So right now I'm confirming this order. I do have the receive products button. I'm just, let's say I have already received these products, these quantities. So I'm setting the quantities and the done quantities here. And then I'm just validating this. So right now I already have it in stock. So I'm happy with that. And let's see on the inventory dashboard, what do we have? So if you remember, I asked my warehouse to supply me 2 products. So let's go here and let's see. So what happens here is that my warehouse 2 stock location sends, or my warehouse 2 is sending from their stock location to my warehouse, to my inter-warehouse transit location. This inter-warehouse transit location is really a transit location. So whenever I'm processing this order, so I'm very happy that all these are reserved. I can set the done quantities and I can validate this order, this delivery. And if I'm going back, then I see that I have just one other delivery, but on my main manufacturing plant, I do have a receipt. And this receipt is an inter-warehouse transit location, is coming from my transit location, and it will end up in my stock location. So I'm super happy with that. If you go to the operations, you can see that my demand is like that. And I'm setting the quantities, 12 and 20, and I can validate it, and now I have it on my inventory. So if I'm going back to my manufacturing order, I can see that I should have all my products available. Here I do have still one missing, and if you remember that, this was the one where warehouse 2 didn't have enough on their stock. So what happens? I need to go back to my replenishment dashboard and I can see what is happening there. So my outsole, here I do see that I still have 17 units missing. But then if I go to the I menu, I see that in my warehouse I don't have anything anymore. So I want to go and set the buy route. And then the buy route will trigger a purchase order from my vendor, basically. So if I'm ordering it at once, then I can go and I can receive my product here. Again, as you can see, a request for quotation has been created for the missing quantity, which I'm confirming now, so it won't gather any more units. And I'm receiving the products as well, setting the quantities and validating that. So now I have it on stock. Going back to my manufacturing order, I do see that now finally the component status is available, and I have all the products reserved, and I'm very happy. My overall component status is available, and I can mark my manufacturing order as done. And I'm applying this because all my consumed quantities are correct. So that much of the warehouse overview. So in a nutshell, if you remember what I did, because I know I did a lot of things, but basically what happened was that whenever you receive a demand, it will show on the replenishment dashboard, and you can decide if you want to take care of that. I was showing every single step over and over and over in manual, but this doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't have to be manual, but it would go automatically. So for example, I could easily automate the shoe manufacturing because I always need the manufacturing order. I just wanted to show you what goes on, but I could automate that manufacturing order. But then again, it's a decision if you want to take for the components, if you really need to take a look at the other warehouses inventory, because then you need to use the iMenu, or if you just right away just order it from the vendor, that's also a possibility, and then Odoo will automatically create you the purchase order. So this was your warehouse overview. Again, this is your decision how you want to manage the products, but you do have this advantage of this overview for the other warehouses. And don't forget, you can create less POs for less or more quantities which you have on inventory in your other warehouse. So I hope it was a nice explanation for you. And I'm going over to the visibility days. So for the visibility days, as a reminder, this function is working together with your lead time for your suppliers. And going back to Odoo, the way it works is very simple, basically. So if you go to your replenishment dashboard, and I would like to demonstrate that with the shoelaces. So basically, right now I have 0 visibility days, because I don't want to look very much in the future. So if I'm checking my iMenu, I can see that I have 2 days of vendor lead time. But I'm very happy with that, don't get me wrong. It's a very quick supplier, but sometimes I want to look a bit further and want to see how much demand I have in more than 2 days' time. So the forecast is 30 right now, but if I go to my sales orders and if I'm filtering to my shoelaces, then you should see that I do have some orders for the shoelaces, because if I'm typing it correctly, then you will also see that. So here, these are the products these are the sales orders which I have for my shoelaces. So if you see that, okay, here we have a creation day, but we also have a delivery date. So we can see the delivery dates are different really for almost all the others. Let's see what happens if I'm changing if the client asks me to change the delivery order in this other info tab, and maybe it's gonna be visible for, my client will ask it for the 2nd of October. So I'm saving this change, and that means that in my delivery it has also changed. I still need to change my schedule date, because one thing is the deadline, but I need to schedule this delivery earlier. And this is really my operational decision. So now I'm changing that, and I can see, if I'm going back to my replenishment dashboard, I can see that if I'm increasing that with like a few days time, then you can see that it's already like 60 units which it proposes to order. So even though the forecast shows still 30 units, because this is what we have within the supplier's lead time, now when I increase my visibility dates, the to order quantity increases to 60 units. And if you remember, we had more of the shoelaces, so we had also later dates for the laces. So not only the 2nd, but also the 19th and the 16th of the delivery date. So if I'm going back and I'm increasing further my visibility days, so maybe 30 days, then my to order quantity increases to 80. So this is how you need to see this. Not necessarily your forecasted quantity will change, but your to order quantity will definitely. And this is, I believe, the biggest importance, because this is what you need to order. So Odoo will tell you, and then again here you have the opportunity to order once or automate the function. So that was the visibility days. And so if I'm going back and summarize all this, is basically that the visibility days give you as it says, visibility for more than just the lead time. And you will see how much you need to order. So this is how the reordering rules are actually helping you in your decision of how much you have to order. Last but not least, let me just go to the third pillar. It's the replenished location. So this can come handy if you don't want to set up reordering rules. Let me show you what is the setup behind. In the configuration and the storage locations, you can see that on the location itself, you have a replenished location. And our WH stock is by default configured to be a replenished location. What does that mean? That even if I don't have any reordering rules here set up, and I believe that here we have seen that this is working like that. So here I basically have set up for the shoelace, for the insole, the prototype for the insole, and the shoe prototype. But if you remember in my previous demos and the previous part of my presentation, you have seen that the other components have appeared. And this is because of this setup on the WH stock, so on the main stock location. And that means that if I have this setting on this one, then I will automatically have it on the children of this location. So it goes down the hierarchy as well. What you can do, you can also mark as, for example, this prototype room. If I had like a prototype room for the manufacturing of these prototype shoes explicitly, then I could also say that I want to send out these products from my prototype room, and then I could really create like this mini supply chain there, which is totally independent from my mass production. And this is where this replenished location checkbox comes in, and this is basically the same functionality what we have seen already with the main stock location, with the WH stock. So all these setups, all these you can take advantage of. And I really believe that our little reordering rules did a great job in putting together this replenishment dashboard. I do believe that you can all benefit from these because these are really nice features. But don't forget and don't hesitate to come up with ideas, because now the reordering rules are super excited to have a bit of cooperation, a bit of ideas. So please let us know what you want them to show still and what you want them to improve on the replenishment dashboard. Thank you very much for your attention. And now let's head to the Q&A. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we have a few questions.
We do? Great.
Sort of, the most recent one would be when materials are blocked or reserved, are they reserved on the sale order creation or at some other point?
You can set it up. You can set it up on the operation type, and on the operation type, the reservation process goes either automatically or manually or upon a certain amount of time before the shipment.
Okay. Is there anything specific that needs to be set up when two vendor suppliers have different packaging sizes?
I would say it's the multiple quantity.
Okay.
That's the best way to have that. You can also have some scaling. If on the price you also have some scaling, then it's on the vendor price list where you can set that up.
Okay. When computing lead times, is it possible to take bank holidays into account, and is it possible to do it on a supplier on a per supplier basis?
It's normally calendar days, so it's just that. And certainly we do have a different vendor price list for each vendor product combination. So that is easy to set that up for their lead time indeed.
Okay. Replenishment entries appeared on the day they are supposed to be processed. Is it possible to get notified earlier, like in another type of notifications on the day before to prepare your day tomorrow, for example?
You can use the visibility days for that, definitely. Or you can define your days to purchase for that, because then that's some delay which you allow yourself to actually place the order to the vendor.
Okay. It's very practical to see confirmed forecasts. Is it possible to also see confirmed and pending forecasts together in the same view?
For that, you would need to go to MPS. It's not in the replenishment dashboard. It's in our MPS part of our MRP module.
Okay. Is there any way to make reordering rules more dynamic, based, for example, on the available space in a warehouse, or like to save space in that warehouse?
You would have the main stock location and all its children taken into account when it comes to an overview on how much you have on hand. So it's really on the on-hand quantity which you need to which Odoo takes into account.
Okay. I've seen a few questions that appeared and disappeared about differences between make to order and the other kind of setup. Can you remind the most important differences between those?
Yeah, thank you. It's indeed like for if you want to have a make to order replenishment strategy, then what you need to do is you need to keep the minimum and the maximum quantity on the reordering rule what you're setting 0 and 0, and that will trigger definitely each and every time when you have a demand. It will trigger a replenishment or a replenishment request depending on the trigger, whereas the make to stock replenishment strategy will require you to set up the safety stock as the minimum quantity, and if you have any preference for the upper limit, certainly you would. That could be handled with the maximum quantity. So this is how you can influence this.
Okay. Apparently, in some previous versions, when there were a very large number of reordering rules, it could slow down inventory operations. Are the major performance improvement that Fabien talked about yesterday going to improve that too?
I do believe so, yes.
Okay. I need to go down to the list again. Would we be able to see future replenishment in Odoo 16? Current V15 only showcases today replenishment. I guess that's
the visibility days again, yes. And never hesitate to go to the forecasted report, because that also shows very nicely the whole view.
Is there a way to prioritize the good to be replenished, something like categorization of products by importance?
I would say you can always filter by products or product categories on the top on the search bar, where I showed you the to reorder and all these filters.
Sorry. Can I determine specific product to appear only in replenishment and not and some other not product not appear in there? Sorry. Can I determine specific products to appear only in replenishments?
In the replenishment dashboard, it's basically the same source, both of the views. So that's why they look very similar. But you can use always the filters on the left-hand side of the screen to to maybe change the manual or the look only at the manual or the automatic trigger or per location. So like that I would say.
Okay, a multi-company question.
Okay.
How do you manage to expect the expected date on company 2 based on product dates on company 1?
Watch out here, because here when I was talking about warehouses, different warehouses, they do belong to the same company, to the same entity. So don't mistake the multi-warehouse with multi-company. The multi-company really operates with an intercompany location, or in the best scenario it would be a purchase order, sales order. So that's a completely different setup. I haven't touched that part here because this is something else. Here we're talking about the warehouses which do belong to the same entity.
Okay. Okay, so some questions about future features. I don't.
Oh,
don't
we will talk about that as from next week. I'm pretty sure about that. Yes.
Okay, about auto rules like 0 rules, soft MTO. One could have a smart button to order additional resources, or can that be already easily be done?
I guess here I would also work a bit with the multiple quantities to facilitate that if you really want to order more or something.
Now with reorder rules and configuration, what order should import occur implementing product recording rules and the BOM? Yeah.
I would say reordering rules should come pretty much at the end. Definitely first products, and then the BOMs, and then the reordering rules, I would say.
Questions still being typed in. Coming back to categories, is there a way by adding extra fields to use during sorting? I think it's about the previous version, the question of categories. I don't remember.
We do have some hidden ones. Now we don't have the 3 little dots at the end, but it's so you can have maybe additional few columns. It's more that.
Okay. How would you solve lower level components with long lead time when the higher level product has a short lead time?
Let me think. Because here, if you're talking about components and higher level product, I imagine you're talking about manufacturing order.
Probably.
For that, we do have a days to manufacture here, and I believe one of my colleagues have or will talk about that, about manufacturing. I think that was also kind of part of what's new in manufacturing. So here we do have another feature for that.
Okay. I have a short question, but not very clear. Is MTO, if no stock possible? So is it possible to do make to order with no stock on hand?
Yes. Or that's pretty much the idea of make to order. Yes.
Okay. Apparently, some people want to talk to you about more stuff after the.
Yeah, we can have a chat in the with me or my colleagues at the logistics booth. So don't hesitate to come over and have a chat about if you have any further questions. I believe shortly we need to.
it's time.
So
I think.
I don't know. Do we have any further questions? But
Let's check. I don't understand the next question, so I think it's that's it.
all right. Yeah. So if you have any further questions, then don't hesitate to come to us in the logistics booth, and yeah, let us know. Let us have a discussion there. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a great day. Bye bye.